Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. In our 26th year, giving you great information about mortgages and real estate. Welcome aboard. I'm Harvey Freed. He's Sherri Gramlich.
Good morning, Harvey. Good morning, everybody. Been a minute. Happy to be back in the studio. We got a lot of things going on. As everybody knows, the market's a little volatile, the interest rate market. It seems to have settled down a little bit the last couple of days. But the home buying market is in full swing. Listings. We've got them. Listen, we have a great show. Becky Alley's here. Sherri Gramlich is here. Becky, do the honors. Introduce Sherri.
Oh, yeah. Come on. She's no stranger to our studio. And when there's ever a moment that I can be sitting next to this woman, she's going to be here with us. So pick her brain. She is a well-versed. She's like an advocate for the VA. Her veteran. She's a veteran herself. And so, if you got any calls, like if you're a first-time buyer, not first-time buyer, you're a veteran, you're not a veteran. I mean, I really want you the opportunity to call in and, pick this woman's brain. And because she is a full-service, one-woman army sitting in the studio with us today. Miss Sherri Gramlich.
That was really nice. She didn't even have that written down.
No,
She just went for it.
Like, wow, you make me sound like I walk on water.
Sherri, we're going to be taking calls all morning because if you want to find Sherri out there, she's, I like where we went with it this morning. She brought in all her garb. She's got the hat on and everything, but she helps a lot of senior veterans, the people that have served our country forever. They raised a family, and now it's getting to the point where they can't climb the stairs anymore. They just can't be on their own anymore.
I don't want to climb the stairs anymore after life it myself.
Right?
Yeah.
Sherri,
And
tell us.
sometimes they want a condo. Sometimes they're moving to assisted living. Sometimes they just want a house that's like no stairs. But
Okay.
it works,
And-
right?
Yeah.
And then also you transition, you work with a team, and you transition a lot of these families with a whole team of people that'll help move them and get them to that point.
Yes. So I have this business partner, Total Transitions, and they are amazing because I work with them. They will go into a house. They will help the senior move into their next home, like literally pack them up and move them. They'll do an estate sale. They'll do the clean out with everything that's left. So everything that they haven't moved or they haven't sold, they're getting rid of it, and they do it all for them. So one-stop shop, and it is absolutely a priceless service.
And that's keeping you busy because then you're getting houses on the market and we're getting new families in there. And of course, the veterans loans are fantastic. Of course, zero down. We said Michigan has plenty of veterans, but we're not Pensacola, Florida. There's not a base right in our backyard other than Selfridge Air Force Base is picking up, and they've got the fighter jets out there. So we do have more and more VA opportunities, more and more VA families here in Southeast Michigan.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of veterans don't realize if they have any percentage of disability, that funding fee is waived.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal for them. And a lot of people, when they get out of the military, they don't even have any idea what their benefits are or how to get them. And that's why I've taken classes on veteran advocacy, because I want to make sure that I'm helping them full circle.
Yeah, and it's important. So, and when you bring up the exempt, like not only are they exempt from the funding fee, but they're also exempt from paying property taxes. And that
If they're
is
100%.
If they're 100%
Right.
correct. And if you're working with a lender that doesn't also understand the ins and outs of VA lending, you're going to miss those opportunities, because if you're purchasing and you have that opportunity, you can waive those taxes, and someone might make you pre-qualify with those taxes and then waive it like later on. So it's an issue. Like I have a long time
you're
client.
totally right.
Yeah.
It so matters who you're working with, because they have to know that.
For sure. Like I have a long time client of mine. We're doing a refinance on their property because they're going to, they're purchasing another property in Arizona for cash. And so we're doing a primary cash out refi because we ran the play and it worked out better because they have to do cash. So we're doing a cash out refi, VA, they're exempt, and the situation is fantastic for them, and they don't have their property taxes on the primary. The interest rate's better, and they don't want to pull the money out of their portfolio because the market's down. So they're using the equity in their home as a lateral position because it's going to be a detrimental loss for their retirement funds if they pulled it out of their 401k or their retirement, and we opted not to after they talked to me, and then they confirm that with their financial advisor. So it's just good to know that we can pivot in all around, the situations depending on what someone's looking to do.
Yeah, Sherri's a wealth of knowledge in all areas. So Sherri, I want you to impart your knowledge on what's going on currently in your real estate market in your area. We talked a little bit before the show, before we went on the air, about the listings. So you're seeing a little bit more inventory coming on. Let's talk about that, because that's exciting for people as we finally get into what we believe to be spring weather.
Market.
Spring weather. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I've had closing probably for the last 7 weeks, a closing every single week. And a lot of them have been listings. And like the market's been good in my eyes. Not all of the agents have had the same benefit. And, but the first couple months of the year, we're like treading lightly. It's like, okay, where's the market going to be? I feel really good about it.
Well, if in the mortgage industry, I mean, we get a sampling from all around. Obviously, we're in Michigan. Our second best state's Florida. We're up and down I-75. We're licensed in 50 states. But bottom line is this. First quarter, year over year, we were up 30% from last year. Okay, so that's January, February, March, everybody out there.
It's a good
First quarter,
sign.
we're up 30%. And that's in really the dead of winter. So, Becky, purchase agreements are flying. You've seen them. I've seen them. We've all seen them. I think it's going to be a busy spring and summer.
I agree.
The question, Sherri, is always what's the inventory going to be like? And when hot properties come on the market, they're getting gobbled up right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the ones that are in good condition, they fly. They just fly off the market. First weekend, they're gone. The ones that need a little bit of TLC, they might last a couple weeks. But I haven't had like a house stay on the market for over a month.
Yeah, like what you're saying is like the things that we've been talking about, for like leading up to this year, like this moment where the inventory is starting to show up because people are finally unlocking those golden equity handcuffs that they've been holding on to. They're understanding that they have to sell now. They've been hunkering down, waiting for this perfect opportunity, and the houses have appreciated. So now sellers are okay to forego some of these lower interest rates to move into their dream home or their step down home or their right sizing. They're okay with it because they, with the taxes, it's making them moves, right? So what you're saying is everything that's true is that, it is still, the market's starting to flip a little bit where it's still very much a seller's market on paper, but it's very buyer-like. Buyers are getting concessions. Buyers are still winning. Buyers are having a little bit more negotiating power. You're seeing more offers go on the table that are contingent on the sale, whereas that used to be a bad word over the last couple buying seasons.
Yeah, concessions, contingencies, those are like,
Yeah, what is that? We could never do that. And they put a lot of pressure on the lender to find a way to get creative with like bridge loans and not being contingent on the sale, but I have 3 myself right now that are contingent on the sale of somebody else's home, and there was no issues getting that offer pushed through. So what we're trying to say is if you are looking to buy or purchase and buy and purchase at the same time, this is a perfect opportunity in this market where you're not going to have that stress of, I have to come up with this additional cash. I have to come up with like a creative lending solution. You can sell your house and buy at the same time.
oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's right in my wheelhouse because last night's conversation with a buyer is, hey, my daughter's been doing these TikToks. She's younger. She's been sending me tons of information about offering and maybe asking for seller's concessions or not coming in at full asking price. And I told her, not on this house. So we're talking about micro areas where, Huntington Woods, and we always talk about some different cities where there might only be a handful of homes on the marketplace. So very interesting what you're looking at. Again, so this was a house in Wixom and a lot of competition. It's $500,000. We already know from the conversations there's multiple offers. So every situation's a little different. But if you look at a house that's been on the market for, Sherri, you tell me how many weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, and there's no offers, that's the house you can come in and maybe do some negotiating.
Those are the ones. So usually, if I have a buyer that's looking for concessions, like I tell them up front, I sit down with every single one of my clients and I review with them how to deal with multiple offer situations. I review with them what we have to do if they're asking for concessions. And one of those is if it's been on the market for less than 2 weeks, we don't even look at it.
Chances are you're not going to get them,
Yeah.
We don't even look at it. We are not looking until it's been on the market for 2 weeks. You need concessions, let's sit back and wait.
And by the way, in the real world, 2 weeks isn't a long time, everybody.
No.
It's just not. And,
We've been spoiled.
Yeah, and to go along with that, mortgage rates right this second are remaining pretty steady with everything going on in the world with inflation. You saw the inflation report. Consumer sentiment is way down right now. I don't know that the Fed's going to make a move in the direction we want to make it. So if you're going to get a rate in the mid 6s, and that's not paying any points, you're only going to get a lower rate if you pay for it, everybody out there. If somebody's quoting you a low rate, I like that 1-800-LOW rate. But you're going to have to pay for it. People don't realize that. So really the rates are mid sixes. You're not going to pay any points. If you get into 5.875, 6%, 6 1/8, you're paying for it somewhere along the line. 6.5 is not a bad rate.
No, it's not.
It's really not.
No, it's
Back
not.
in 2006, I remember buying my house at over 7%. And I thought that was a great rate then, you know?
Yeah.
And then we had that period of time where the interest rates dropped.
Right. But people, Sherri, what I find out, people only care about the right now. They don't
Absolutely.
care. They care about the right now, and then they care about their thinking the other way. Well, 5 years ago, I could have got 3%. Well,
Right.
guess what? It's not 5 years ago. Historically, if you're getting a rate in the sixes, that's low.
Yes.
It's a low rate.
Yes, and the other thing too is that when it comes to the rates, like the rates moved exponentially in the month of March. They were low in the beginning of March, and then we're going through what we're going through, and then 2 weeks in March, the rates were a good quarter to almost a half difference between the two. And, so like if you're talking to someone early in March, like, okay, this is the rate, you're anticipating it, and then they go under contract 2 weeks later. It was one of those situations we had to have a conversation like, hey, this is what the rate's going to be now. You're going from 6.125 to maybe 6.375. This is how it affects your payment. 6.125 is on the table, but it might cost you X, Y, Z. And then we have to do that analysis. Does it make sense to pay like maybe the $1,000 for the lower rate, depending on what their goals are? I don't hate it sometimes, but we're going to have that deep dive conversation. But the reality is that the rates change every day. And then in this market, I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes they change 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Just on Friday, I think, or Thursday, we had a reprice once or twice, I believe, whatever day it was this week. But the point is that we have to be on our toes all the time with that consumer advocacy. So that way they know what we're doing. So when we're sending out an estimate, for example, and we throw it out there at 6.375 because we know the market's going to be moving, and let's just say if the market improves, we can always pull back the rate. We're not going to underinflate the rate in a volatile market. We're going to have that eye-opening conversation so that way our buyers know, worst case scenario, can you afford this payment if this is what the rate is when it's time to lock?
That's no doubt, Becky. Rates didn't blow out higher, but they didn't improve much either this week. Things change quickly. Buyers are adjusting. They're not waiting around. They want to buy houses. That's an important mind shift. We'll talk about buying and selling. Where are you set up to be successful in today's market? 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show, 816. If you're just joining us, we got lots of information. We'll take your calls, 248-539-9797, live here in the studio, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, 26th year, sponsored by Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker, powered by CMG Home Loans, NMLS 1820, equal housing lender. We're local, guys. It's really important to deal with local lenders. There's so much conversation about that. Sherri Gramlich joins us from eXp Realty, always helping out all the veterans. Sherri, you're a veteran yourself. Always thanks for serving. We like to throw that out there. And today's market, you know what? Let me also congratulate my clients, Jonathan and Kara. Greatest young buyers I've had in a while. Like every month or so, I just
the greatest.
Some of the
That's
great.
a lot.
Okay, some of the greatest.
Harvey, in 35
love
years, I've
when
got a
we
lot
get
of
the
the greatest.
greatest.
That's big.
You know, it's
so
just,
they're the Michael Jordan of your buyers.
they're the goats of buyers buying in today's marketplace. And you know what I think I like the most about just this last transaction I did, and it was a nice closing, house in Livonia, was the communication. I'm a communication guy. To find young people, and I say younger people, different age group than me. I'm going to be 60. They loved communicating. They would call me at 8 o'clock at night, and we do like great conversations. And it's about building that confidence, Sherri. And that's
so much.
I'm buying a house. I wish I could do this for everybody. Just adding that confidence. Like, here's the next step. Here's step B and C and D. And we take you all the way through, and you build that confidence, and you know you're doing the right thing. And
So big.
it's so much fun.
It is. It is. And it's really cool when one of their life stories happen as you're working with them. I had buyers that just closed on their house. I want to say about 3 weeks ago. They went on spring break and they got engaged.
Oh, there you go.
And it just gave me goosebumps watching all of this unfold. It's like Matthias and Jocelyn are their names, and I'm just so happy for them. You know, they got this new house. They're starting their life.
Yeah.
You know,
And some things can happen when you're in the middle of these transactions. You're out there shopping for homes, and sure enough, we lost out on this offer and that offer. And about this was the fourth or fifth offer they had, maybe a little bit more, and they didn't get it accepted originally. They took the listing agent took a cash offer. That thing crumbled bad in the first couple days. All of a sudden, he didn't have a deal. They went right back to the second offer. So sometimes what's meant to be is meant to be. I actually mentioned it to him. I said, you guys are really close. I had called as the lender, and I said, look, they're ready to go. They can make this happen less than 30 days, whatever you need, and we'll put a nice transaction together. House appraised out nicely. Everything went
phenomenal.
really good.
That's awesome.
Good stories. I love
Harvey,
good
in
stories.
honor of Sherri Gramlich being here, a veteran, taking care of veterans, I pulled out a survey from Housing Wire magazine. It talks about veterans helping their kids buy homes. And in a survey of over 400 veterans and families, they're saying 59% of those veterans have helped their child buy a house through either a down payment assistance, even co-signing for a house for their children. So the veteran community is always giving, they're giving back. And if you're so fortunate to have a parent that I don't recommend co-signing. That's a personal thing for me.
Yeah.
But if you can give a gift to your child to buy a house to continue that, that's generational wealth. When you're able to go ahead and help somebody buy a house, you're setting them up for years to come. Because, Becky, as you know, real estate's a long-term thing. And when you buy a house, and you could stay in a house for X amount of years, and if you move up or trade up or you're there for a long period of time, you eventually sell it. If you stay there for a long period of time, it's the best investment because it's throughout history, everybody. This isn't a Harry Glance thing. It's throughout history, real estate has always been the best investment.
Yeah, it's. I completely agree with you. If you put it on paper, because pattern recognition, right? If you can recognize patterns, you're ahead of like 99% of the world. Real estate is the long game. It's going to go up and down sometimes, but in our nation's history, it's literally went down 6 times. And we're talking about appreciation 6 times in our nation's history, or actually in the last, 1940, I can see the chart in my mind, right? So since 1940 to now, it's went down 6 times.
And that's only for a very short period of time, relatively speaking.
Yes, and we all know the most recent
one time that it really sunk
in
for
our
a long
lifetimes.
time.
Yeah.
And that was, back in 2008, right?
7,
Yeah.
8, 9, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was probably the longest dip. And that's where young buyers see, the market's going to drop again.
It's not. It's not.
It is not.
You have even in Lincoln Park, I just had a sale. It was like one was 190,000, another one was 200,000. My first house I ever bought was in Lincoln Park, and it was in 2006 for 145,000. I mean, so that appreciation just in what is that, 20 years, right? So that's a huge difference. I mean, that's almost like $100,000 in equity if someone maintained that property and paid that off.
So then conversely, we have to talk about the other side of the coin too.
Mm-hmm.
When things appreciate and prices go up, I mean, that means you're paying a higher price. You're going to sell your house for more, but if you're looking to buy, you're going to pay more, correct?
Yes.
It doesn't work where you sell at the top and buy at the bottom. Come on, everybody. That just doesn't work out.
But they get frustrated over that.
Right. But you have to realize that if you're going to go ahead and you're going to benefit from the top end of the market, you're going to end up buying likely at the top end of the market too. Now, however, as we're hoping, and I hate that because hope is not a good strategy, but we can always hope, is that you're going to go ahead and you're going to even itself out.
Yes.
You're going to find something, and buying a house should be a lifestyle move, Becky and Sherri. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a lifestyle. It's got to fit your lifestyle. You're not buying a house with the thought of, well, in 10 years I'm going to sell it, so I can't buy it because it has green shutters. Well, you can always paint them.
Yeah.
All right. So you have to look at a lifestyle and what's good for you and your family and the area that you want to live in.
For sure. I'm
And
gonna
your
say,
budget.
Yeah, I'm going to say two things on that. If, like, for example, you're buying the house and you're like, I want it to be my 5-year house. Well, sometimes life happens. So if you're going into it with that strategy, you have to leave room for margin of error that you're going to be in that property a little bit longer.
And there's nothing wrong with that strategy, right?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. So just, if it is going to be your first 5-year home, air quotes, just know that if it ends up being your 10-year home and something happens, make sure that you can afford that property and you're living under your means and even at your means. And then the other thing I wanted to actually bring over to Sherri is, do you find with like this, what Harry was alluding to, where you want, you have a step up or step down buyer, right? They want to sell at the top, right? So your seller wants to sell at the top, but now you're also representing them as the buyer, and now they want to turn around in the same market and get a deal, right? So how do you navigate those conversations? Because that is a real, and I'm glad Harry brought it up, because I have someone that's buying and selling right now, and they're like, well, I want this, and then they're turning around and buying, and I'm having to navigate them on the other side. So how are you navigating those conversations when they're wanting it on both sides?
Yeah. As a realtor, you really have to tell them, really? You have to be right from the hip, shoot it from the hip and say, okay, you want top dollar, right? That other seller is going to want top dollar too, just like you. So, you have to be cognizant of that going in, and you're getting top dollar for yours. You're going to pay top dollar. If you're getting a deal, you're probably going to get a deal. It's not going to be both. And unless you're looking at a fixer-upper when you're buying it, it's not going to happen.
Or Sherri, some circumstances that would make the seller's motivation change. Let's just go there a little bit. And if you stumble upon a house and they love you because you're selling yours, and they need some time. They got to find another house also. So they might accept your offer. So there's always these different scenarios that come up. I sort of like the scenarios because a seller, knowing that they have their house sold, they ink up a purchase agreement contingent upon them finding another house. And that's a nice place to also
Why it's so
pitch
important to listen, not only to the buyers, to the sellers. Either way, you got to listen, and you have to be able to be strategic in how you're representing them.
It's opportunity through strategy. Your opportunity lies with the strategy. Your strategy can change. It's just like any sport. We're on a sports station. Any sport, things can change throughout the game. We're going to run the ball in the first half.
Absolutely.
Now we might throw the ball. You never know. Things do change.
That's a good point. You have to be. You can't be affixed to something when in this market. You have to be fluid, and you have to be able to pivot around what is going to be most beneficial for you. There's some situations where we started off, I just had a sale last week where we started off doing it as a bridge loan because they didn't want to be contingent. And then, we looked at the numbers and we pivoted around to having the son be the co-signer for his mom because she's retired and the income, and she's getting sell her house right away. So it worked out better for her son to be on as a co-signer versus the bridge loan. So because we're able to constantly be readjusting for our clients, and you're so good at that as well, because this market is ever changing, the rates are changing, and people's situations are changing all the time. So if you get no, we got to go this way or no way, you're going to really put someone in a bad way.
Things aren't cookie cutter in the real estate world at all.
Yeah.
You have to. You used my favorite word, pivot. You have to be able to pivot. When things happen, you got to be able to switch gears really, really quick. And it's just part of the business.
Yeah. And our job as a professional as well is to keep the temperature in the room, because this is very emotional for our buyers. Even if they've bought it 2 or 3 times, it's still very emotional, because we understand it is not lost on us that the majority of the time this is your biggest investment. So when it becomes emotional, it's our job to make sure that you are educated, you know what's happening, so that way we can make calm, rational responses and we're not reacting to whatever's happening.
Purchase market update. Despite the higher rates, purchase activity hasn't fallen off. We're still seeing buyers making moves, especially well-qualified ones. That's for sure. You can always refinance it later. Don't get hung up on that interest rate. All right, when we come back, 248-539-9797. Welcome back to the show, 8:30. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show up till 9 o'clock. Then we're going to have sports all day long here. You got Stoney out there and Kenny Cott bringing it all the way up to Tiger Baseball with Dan Dickerson. I don't know if Bobby's in the seat with them or Andy, but pregame Tiger at 12:45. Tigers 2 runs last night. That's all you need sometimes here if you get that kind of pitching.
You know, sometimes you just take the W and you move on.
Yeah.
But I don't think long-term success scoring 2-3 runs a game is going to win you a lot of games.
Sunshine.
But I'll take a W.
Okay,
I'll take a
the
W every time.
Hopefully get some fire on the batting lineup today and get some additional runs. And
I'm
I got some
really
baseball
liking McGonigal.
I love that. Look at that. We can get a little baseball talk in here.
Right? He is like the bomb.
I love it. All right. There you go, Kevin. If you heard that, you heard it here on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. They might be listening on the way into the ballpark.
There you go.
He's wearing a great number, too. That's the number to wear.
That's the one, the Mickey Mantle number. Is that what you
Punch's
like?
number.
Number 7, baby. Let's
All right.
go.
I got a couple games to umpire this afternoon, too. I got Livonia,
go.
Churchill, Wall Lake Central today here.
At Churchill, right?
At Churchill. So we got some fun. Everyone loves baseball. Detroiters are baseball fans. We're just
I was at
into
the
it.
game last night.
There you go.
Congrats. A little cold.
It was cold.
Keep it here on 97
You got
the
the
ticket
win.
all day long. We're
You know,
always
we
up.
went in before we went to break. We were talking about little things that can change a transaction. You know, credit scores can change. We've had credit scores go down during a transaction because people went out and bought the new car. They went and they bought the new furniture. However, the big thing right now with people paying what they're paying for homes, sometimes appraisals come in a little bit lower than the purchase price because the purchase prices have gone up significantly. And what do we do in that situation? Well, you can't shop appraisals anymore. And Becky, I know we're a little bit red about that because we get the calls all the time. We're actually doing the buyers a favor when we bring it in, and we bring it in where listen, it's up to an independent appraiser to come in with their value. Is it subjective? It is, but that's the word. Now we can go ahead and we could try to request a verification of value, a request for value change, but it doesn't happen all the time. We've been successful at it because you provide data for it. I'm telling you out there is that there's nobody, it's illegal in the mortgage world to call an appraiser and tell them the value you're looking for. It's written in our guidelines, it's written in our bylaws in the mortgage industry. You're not doing your client a service by doing that, right, Becky?
Yeah, it's not dignified, number one. It's unethical. And if you're even hearing those kinds of conversations, you need to walk the other way because it's just not okay. Because our job is to make sure that our buyers are protected and they're not overpaying for property. There's a difference between price and value. I can't stop you from wanting to pay a certain price for a home.
I'm with you, and I don't mind that as long as it's disclosed to everybody, correct?
But the value is completely different. Just because you want to pay a certain price doesn't mean the price is the value. The home is worth that value, and that's the appraiser's job, is determine for the lender the difference between your price and what the true value of the home is, and then can we marry the two? Was there appraisal guarantee? There's a reason why there's these certain things written in offers, and when a value comes in low, if there is data, we've been doing this for so long. You're talking like we've been on the radio, for 26 years. Okay, like. We've all been in the mortgage industry 20 plus years. Like we've been doing this a very long time. So we know when an appraisal, maybe the appraiser didn't do his best work and when they have.
It happens.
And it does happen because everyone has a bad day and that's fine. But when that happens, there's data to clearly support a different value. And then we go to the agents and say, please back up your work. How did you arrive to this particular sales price? They give us those additional information. Then we send that back to the appraiser and say, hey, based off this factual information, is there room and will you consider these additional comparables to this house? And then it's up to them to review and then make that determination.
That's one of the things that I like about VA loans is that Tidewater, because that is huge.
Yes.
I think the way we do VA loans with Tidewater is just absolutely amazing. I would love to see conventional and FHA adopt those same rules.
We basically have it. We basically have something built in, a rebuttal.
Right.
It's a rebuttal system.
But no, what she's talking about,
reconsideration
Tidewater
of value. But with VA, you can do both. You can do Tidewater, provide the comps, and if it still doesn't come in, then you can do reconsideration of value.
Yeah. But I want to explain what Tidewater is. So the people like this listening that don't know what Tidewater is on a VA specifically and only. The VA appraiser, they have to be certified and they got to do the extra stuff for the VA. They go out to the property and they look and they can clearly see that the purchase price is $200,000 and they can see that there's no data out there to support this value. They can call Tidewater, then notify us, and then the real estate agents have an opportunity to supply comparables that allow the appraiser to see how they achieve these results. And because they see the same comps. So it does give the agent before the appraisal is done, they give them the opportunity to check their work and they check each other's work. And sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't because the appraiser is being honest and saying, I'm not seeing it. Where'd you get this information? And then it's up to the agent then to prove that value.
And I think it's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what Tidewater is.
Yeah,
But you know-
value is always going to be a sticking point with people. They're going to want to go ahead and know what they're buying is going to come in at value. Now, if it doesn't come in and you still want the house, I have no problem with that, because sometimes you have to do what you have to do and overpay to get in the neighborhood that you want to get in.
That's right.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But don't rig it, and I'm using that word, don't rig it to where just to do the deal, you're making all these calls and you're trying to rig the appraisal. I have a huge problem with that. Absolutely a huge problem with that.
Because what happens if they get a job transfer in a year and they have to turn around and put it back on the market? Now they're going to be underwater.
Yeah. Like there's a reason. Okay. Like I'm real irritated about this whole conversation. There's a reason why these rules are in place. There's a reason why, like they made people get individually licensed. There's a reason why the appraisers are constantly getting, like their hours increased, because it's all about working ethically and by the code and by the books and by the guidelines and by the rules that we are all bound by.
And just because somebody supplies information on sales that have happened in that area, it has to be comparable to the subject property. So if it's a 4-bedroom house that we're doing with 3 baths in a certain neighborhood, if you send me comps for a 2-bedroom or a 7-bedroom, it's not comparable.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be the same type of property within a certain range.
Yep.
And a time frame of when that house sold. And listen, sometimes it works. All I'm saying is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But respect the process. And we can get it done for you. The however is, we are never going to go ahead and do something that is not going to set you up for success. And the deal is never going to be rigged. Ever.
No.
All right, you guys, let's turn the page real quick to talk about refinancing, what's going on right now in the marketplace. Love talking about refinancing because a lot of homeowners are asking, does it make sense right now? And I called people and got several families done right before this Iran conflict started. So yes, folks, since this Iran conflict has started, the market's turned. Headlines were 4 weeks ago, rates are at 3-year lows. Now they're at back to where they were. So when is the best time for you? Life happens. It's never a great time, but there's other reasons. You got debt consolidation. You might have to buy out your spouse for divorce, cash flow, removing PMI. There's many reasons to refinance your house. Call the experts, 1-800-LOW-RATE, and find out when is a great time to refinance under your situation.
Well, it's only
You
in
can
the
always
math.
do it again.
Harvey, it's in the math.
The math don't lie.
It works when it works.
It doesn't work, and Sherri used a great term. It's not cookie cutter. It's not a one-size-fits-all for everybody. If we could save you money, if we could pay off debt for you, if we can make your situation better, it doesn't matter what the rate is as long as you're getting the best deal for you and you're saving money. Rate is irrelevant on a cash-out refi to pay off credit card debt because you're paying between 18 and now 25% on credit cards. So if you have $40,000, $50,000 in credit card debt and you're paying 18 to 25%, a 6.5, 6 3/4 interest rate is way better than you're paying. All right, but we have to sit down. We have to do the math. Becky will break out her calculator.
Yeah, it's
old
big
school.
too. Yeah, it's a big one.
She's going to break it out, and she will do the math for you.
Yeah, it's I mean, I can't agree with you more. Like the rate to me is irrelevant on both sides of the coin. I mean, it does affect affordability, but then also people aren't talking about taxes when they're purchasing. They get so focused on interest rate because they don't know any better. They don't know what other questions to ask. They're not raising their gaze down the road to, I got to think about taxes as too. I'm getting so hyper focused on what my interest rate is, but never mind that my taxes are going to go from $3,000 to $6,000, and I don't want to hear that part of it because I don't want to hear it, right? So it's odd to me, but we spend a lot of time kind of reevaluating and kind of reprogramming our clients to like really see the bigger picture. So refinancing makes sense when it makes sense for you. If you are drowning and you cannot afford your lifestyle, then and you're sitting on a money pit of your house, or money pot, I should say, you can use that as an asset to reset the baseline for yourself and save money. I have someone right now, I'm saving them $1,000. I have another person, I'm saving them $200. And I have another person that's pulling money out because they want to help their grandchild with college. There's a difference for everybody in what you're doing. And the other part is people have been foregoing their like 3% interest rates, like even back when they're higher at 7s, because they understand that paying that little bit of a higher of an interest rate on the mortgage, that you can write that interest off on your taxes. I'm not a CPA, but still right now you can write off your mortgage interest. That's something that's a tax deductible, or that's a reduction for you on your taxes, versus credit card interest is not. And with the purchase side of it, you got to focus on locking in the price point of the home. Because we talk about when the rates change, you can always slide down with that mortgage interest rate. The point is that that same house that was $200,000 last year is probably going to be $210,000, $215,000 in this hot summer market that we're about to be jumping into. And you got to make sure that you can afford that payment right now and those taxes in the future, because we can always reduce the rate when those opportunities arise.
You heard it from Becky. Real estate decisions should be driven by life changes, not by rate forecasts. For crying out loud, you can always change that. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. We are back, 846. If you're just joining us, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Love to hear from you at 248-539-9797. Sherri Gramlich comes in, eXp Realty, always sharing great information. And Becky, we'll touch on some buyers and some exciting stuff out there, down payment assistance programs. Of course, we offer the MISHDA program. You got National Faith program. You got the Chenoa Fund. Lots of opportunities. We got some other incentives for first-time home buyers. Lots of opportunities out there. And just trying to get some new buyers excited. Stop paying rent. Divorce that landlord, we say.
Yes, divorce rent forever and buy your own home. What Harvey's talking about is it's never been easier to tap into money to purchase a home. And it doesn't matter if you're a first-time buyer in some of these situations. I have someone that is using the MISHDA fund. They're buying in a targeted area. They have a property right now, and because they're buying their house is in a targeted area and they're buying in a targeted area, they still can get the $10,000 for down payment assistance. So it, like if you're not a first-time buyer, it does not disqualify you, but you have to have a conversation with a high-level loan officer, a high-level lending institution that knows the ins and outs, that has the
there's money out
access.
there, Becky.
Yes.
Let's face it.
Yes.
All you have to do is ask for it.
Yes, you have to do it. You have to have the conversations with people. So if you're looking to purchase and you've been renting and the rent's been making you a little bit thin and you weren't able to save too much money for your down payment, or you're waiting on the tax refund that's coming up, give us a call at Capital Mortgage Funding. We are here to advocate for you and find out what is going on.
Great reminder on the taxes, getting your income taxes done. Again, self-employed folks, if you go ahead and file those taxes, now we've got those taxes that we can use. So we can break down your income. If your 23 income was lower than, or your 24 income was lower than 25, well, you definitely want to get those taxes done to qualify for more and make sure that you're getting approved for the house that you're looking for. Again, income changes. So it's very important to have those high-level conversations with your CPA, your accountant. Are you going to get your taxes done? Are you going to file an extension?
That's important, Harvey, because you're going to have to show that you filed an extension. If we ask for your 2025 federal 1040, you're going to have to prove that you apply for an extension. So after April 15th, everybody out there that's looking to apply for a mortgage, you're going to have to supply your 25 tax returns or your 24 and proof of the extension for 2025.
Yes, it's get your team in place, right? So there are self-employed buyers that we have been working with for a period of time, and obviously like the tax code favors the independent contractor, right? It is what it is. For your 1099 employees. So if you're looking to purchase, it goes by what you can show on paper, it goes by your net, not your gross. So if you're looking to purchase, it's important for us to figure out what you have to net as a profit as a business owner in order to qualify for a mortgage, because you have to document your income. Now, do we have specialty programs where you can have a bank statement loan, or we can qualify you with just say your 1099s? Yes, we have anything that's special out there, but those interest rates are going to be not as favorable as something that is a true bona fide standard conventional mortgage, or even FHA for that matter.
Yeah, and the extension also allows for you to go ahead and file and not file your taxes until a later date, but it does not extend the money that you owe. So you still have to pay the approximate amount that you're going to owe, but the extension comes in with the paperwork and filing the tax returns. And again, I'm not a CPA and I don't play one on the radio. But I'm just telling you that from personal experience, you better pay the money that you owe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, CPAs are calling their customers at midnight. They're working so hard right now this week.
Now, real quick before we run out of time, I want to talk about an event that Sherri is putting on. I'm one of the Capital Mortgage Funding and myself were one of the sponsors. April 17th, she's doing a charity comedy show. Tell us everybody where they can get tickets and where it's located and what the actual cause is for.
Yes, I'm super, super stoked about this. The American Legion in Trenton, Michigan. It's post 426. We are putting on this comedy show. It is a fundraiser. It goes to support our programs that we're doing for community engagement to help veterans with their disabilities and so much more. The American Legion traditionally is like the stigma is that it's a cheap drinking place. But the truth of the matter is the American Legion does all the training for the VSOs, the Veteran Service Officers, in our state. And we do all that training. We also have Boys State, Girls State, where for youth, we're doing these programs where they create this mock government and they compete against each other, and we give them scholarships.
Oh, that's great.
And it's so amazing the things that we're able to do. And at Trenton, we're doing more educational classes on a monthly basis for the community in general. It's open to the public, and then also to the veterans because the lack of knowledge on benefits. So all those proceeds are going to help us be able to make a higher impact. So
sharing the knowledge out there, helping folks. I love it.
So where can they get
It's
tickets?
also a fun drinking place, though, too, Sherry, right?
It is.
Okay,
It
let's
is.
go
Well, it's
there,
a comedy
too.
show. It's an hour. So where can people get tickets? And then I'll also post it on my own personal Facebook page, and we can get on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. So how can someone get tickets to
Awesome.
support?
So it is actually going to take place at the Taylor American Legion instead of Trenton because it'll hold more people. Tickets are $35 each and includes pizza, pasta, salad. So you got dinner with it. And you could get tickets on Zeffy.com, and you can also get them at the door, or you can go to the American Legion Post in Trenton and pick them up there.
Okay. Yay.
Hey, I'm a
So
funny guy. Who's
Yeah.
going to be the... Oh, we don't even go there. I'm sort of funny. Not really,
Well,
though.
you should come. You'll get some more material, right?
Funny like a clown.
Yeah, not funny enough. Opportunity through strategy is one of the things we spoke about this morning. I threw it out there. It was written. I just reciting it. But that's what we're doing. We're always pivoting, and you use that word, pivoting. Today's market, the weather's getting nicer. The buyers are coming out. If you're thinking about selling your house, maybe even start with that landscape. Call a professional real estate agent. It's people like Sherri. They come over. Nothing costs money at the beginning. Get
Right.
professional people. And we say that about these pre-approvals. We can do a strong pre-approval. We run you through the AUS, your automated underwriting system, review funds to close and everything, and issue a pre-approval. We don't take your hostage money. Stop forking over money, folks. People, strangers are calling you, and you're forking up money. You're clicking buttons, sending money to complete strangers.
Yeah, we were on the phone with our underwriters last night, and I gave Harvey a text because I knew he was out umping the game last night. And about, 7, 8 o'clock, I texted you, and I said, listen, we'll talk in the morning. Got Harvey the approval. We were on with the underwriters the last couple of days. Harvey's got a transaction going, and we were talking about income. And we have the relationships. We have our own in-house underwriters, okay? We process, close, fund, underwrite our own transactions. So we're sitting side by side with our borrowers or getting on Teams calls or whatever, and we talk directly with them, and we say, listen, how can we make this transaction work? It's about making it work and counting as much income for a borrower as we can to help you qualify. So finally, the borrower, the underwriter and I are having this little meeting, and she says, yeah, I can make it work with this income. And so I text Harvey immediately at 7, I think it was about 7 o'clock last night, Harvey. I said, we'll talk about it. Now you've got a bona fide approval, and this is how you work. All right, you can't work by just waiting around and seeing if things are going to happen. You have to be in a relationship with somebody that has the connections to go ahead and get it done. Experience matters. It really does. The ins and outs and knowing how to qualify people for the largest transaction of their life. Mm-hmm. This is an emotional experience, Becky.
Yeah, I mean, like even there's there's some situations, because again, we have the expertise. We know when something's going to be tight and when it's not, or a little bit more difficult. And those situations, I actually have the whole entire file pre-underwritten. And I have several of those where now, like this is, and that's when we talk about a bona fide pre-approval. So once this person finds a house, all we need is title and appraisal and updated information or updated income documents, like as far as like pay stubs, and then we're done. We're done with the transaction, but therefore it takes the guessing out. We don't need to wait for someone to tell me that this is a problem at the 11th hour because it's anticipating what's happening. So we're responding, we're not reacting, because it's all about setting up our buyers for success so we can, again, manage those emotions and make sure it's a pleasant experience.
That's why it's so important, too, for the buyers to be upfront and honest with their situation.
Yeah, it's going to come out in the wash, that's for sure.
Alrighty, folks, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Show. We'll catch you next Saturday. We got tons of sports. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. Call Capital Mortgage Funding. Get the strong approval letter. Deal with the real professionals. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Have a great day.